Shalawama, Shalawama, mic check. Shalawama, mic check, mic check. Let's see if we have sound. Shalawama, Shalawama, mic check, mic check. Oh, man. Shalawama, Shalawama, mic check. All right, so let me repeat everything I said. Mic check, mic check. All right, so welcome. If this is your first time, welcome. If this is your first time with us, welcome. We are, this is Astrotheology. This is the book we're using. The Devil's Pulpit by Reverend Robert Taylor. Okay, y'all? The Devil's Pulpit by Reverend Robert Taylor. This is not a religious presentation. This is science. This is a focus on philology. Okay, this is a book. It's a free download. You need to go get it. Everybody should have this book in their library. It's a free download, free PDF. Okay, if you are a Moor, this book is important to you because Moors are the Sabian Moors. Moors in history are the Sabian or Sabian Moors. These were experts in astronomy. In other words, they could read the sky. They can determine what the seasons are, when the seasons are transitioning, how long between the transitions, right? When to plant, when to do this, when to do that. And they had many celebrations based upon their knowledge of astronomy, okay, or astrology. Same thing back then. Not horoscope, not religion, okay? In other words, this is the study of how the planets move. Astrotheology is, according to the author, the story of the sun traveling through each of the 12 zodiac signs. All right. And these are told in narrative form in the Gospels, so on and so forth. All right. So, in other words, the author is saying that the stories in the Gospels are fictional. In fact, he says all the stories in the Bible are fictional, right? They're made up, according to the author. He also says that astrology is made up, right? He says that the constellations and all of this, all of it is made up, okay? So he doesn't have a horse in the race at all on either side. So what are we doing in this presentation? This is the 32nd presentation of our Astrotheology series, right? 32nd presentation. 32nd, no, 30, this is the 33, number 33. Number 33. We do this every day, all right? So I read, I interpret, and then discuss, and you can discuss also, right, in the comments section. Ask questions, answer, so on and so forth. But this is not meant to change your religion, not meant to change your mind, nothing like that. This is purely meant to give you information so that you can have the information and make an intelligent, informed decision on the information, all right? Why is this important? Exodus chapter 20, we are told, this is in the commandments, don't bring another power before my face. That's what the Most High says, right? So we may as well dive deep into this and deal with these issues about who is Jesus, who is Yeshua, so on and so forth, right? Who is the Messiah? Who is the Christ figure? So let's tackle this scientifically, not religiously, not dogmatically, okay? We'll use philosophy, not philosophy. We'll use linguistics, cultural context, etymology, historical writings from church fathers, from mythology as they pertain to the Gospels. All right, so that's what we're going to do. It's called philology. Okay, so we're going to approach it that way. So comment, subscribe to this video, to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our other social media platforms, and enjoy the show. I'm going to turn my camera off and my microphone off because I need to get things set up. Okay, y'all. Sorry about that. I'm on a new platform. And I need to figure out how this thing works. It's not the one I usually use. So give me a minute. Let me figure out how to share the documents. All right, give me 1 second to get everything together. Give me 1 second. All right, y'all, let me check to make sure my screen share is working. Again, this is my first time using this software app, so be patient. I'll get the document up and then we'll begin, okay? So 1 moment, please. Let me wait to see if the document is going to share or not. Oh, okay, so let's see, is this it? Oh, man. I'm trying to figure this out, y'all. It's not looking well. Hold on. Why is not this working? Give me 1 second. Mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check, mic check. Let me see. Ah, okay, I see. All right. check. Mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check. Oh man. Mic check, mic check, mic check. Check. Mic check, mic check. All right, y'all. Sorry about that. Let me see. Mic check, mic check. How much did y'all? Mic check, mic check. What was the last thing y'all heard? And this is wild. Mic check, mic check, mic check. All right, y'all. Let's continue. We just have to work through it, y'all. We just have to work through it. How much did y'all? What was the last? Check. Mic check, mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic. Wow, unbelievable. Mic check, mic check. Check. Mic check, mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check, mic check. All right, y'all. Mic check, mic check, mic check. Oh man. Mic check, mic. All right. Y'all, I can't do nothing about this, all right? Be patient, all right? There's nothing I can do about it. We just have to talk. We have to try to make it through it. All right? So let's get back to it. It's not my system. I know that for sure. All right. Page 189. Page 189, page 188. We're here. Not in lost. Okay. No, we are here. All right. We're at the highlight. Page 188. It reads, as we find the prophet Isaiah addressing him with his pretty compliment, quote, verily, thou art a capital G-O-D that hideth thyself, end quote. That's from Isaiah chapter 14, verse 15, quote, O capital G-O-D of Israel, the Savior, end quote. The sun, S-U-N, which is Adonis, Thomas, Jupiter, Amun, and Osiris, is said to hide itself at the winter solstice. Y'all remember that? The sun hides itself at the winter solstice. The sun reaches its lowest point in the celestial globe at December 21st and 22nd, right? It begins to move up December 23rd, 24th, 25th, and at 12 o'clock midnight, the sun has moved upward. In other words, it has ascended 1 degrees. It has ascended 1 full degrees at December 25th, midnight. This is what the author is talking about. Okay? It's in the other videos that we did. All right, so let's read it again. The sun, that is the sun, which is Adonis, Thomas, Jupiter, Amun, and Osiris, is said to hide itself at the winter solstice. Remember, it's at that lowest point at the winter solstice, December 21st, 22nd, and people are wondering, when is the sun going to ever come back? Because why? That is when the number of dark hours is the maximum during the year. In other words, the time of the year where there is the fewest number of sunlight hours, which is the maximum number of nighttime hours, is December 21st, 22nd, okay? So people are wondering, when's the sun, if the sun's gonna ever come back, right? Because that long, hard winter, now you're deep into the winter. All right, let's continue. All right, so Osiris is said to hide itself. That's the sun hides itself at the winter solstice. And hence in Egypt, the annual religious ceremony of seeking for Osiris and the innumerable expressions which run through our whole Christian theology, which is entirely derived from Egypt, about seeking the capital Lord. Y'all got that? Seeking the capital Lord is really seeking the sun. Astrotheologically, that's coming straight out of ancient Egypt. Straight out of ancient Egypt. When they talked about seeking the capital Lord, they were talking about seeking the sun. Seeking the sun to do what? To rise again. Seeking for the number of daylight hours to begin to increase. All right, that's what they're talking about. Not seeking the S-O-N, Christ, which is Christian theology, which the author is asserting is paganism. Let's continue. Amun was worshipped not only as the sun, S-U-N, at its highest altitude in the ecliptic. The ecliptic is the celestial globe, right? So the highest altitude would be the sun at its zenith in June. I believe it's in June, maybe June 24th, right? But that would be the summer solstice. All right. Amun was worshipped not only as the sun at its highest altitude in the ecliptic, but as at the direct opposite point, the lowest, that is, not only as the sun in all its glory. So remember, the lowest point is again called the declination. Okay, so if you're looking at a clock, we would be looking at 12:30. 12, go all the way up, up until you can't go any higher. If you can imagine that, that would be the zenith. The long hand on the 6, you go down, right? Until the sun can't go any lower. That would be the declination, December 21st, 22nd. This is what the author is talking about. So that line that marks 12:30, little hand on the 12, big hand on the 6, that's the line he's talking about. The sun at 12 o'clock is directly at the opposite end of the line of the sun when it's at 6 o'clock. All right, got it? That's what he's talking about. Amun was worshipped not only as the sun, S-U-N, at its highest altitude in the ecliptic, that would be 12 o'clock, but as at the directly opposite point, the lowest, that would be with the long hand at 6 o'clock, okay? We talked about that in the previous paragraph. That is, not only as the sun in all its glory, That's at the sun at its zenith, right? Summer solstice, quote, lifting up the light of his countenance upon us, end quote. Why is that? Because everybody is happy, because the number of daylight hours are maximum during the summer solstice, right? That's when the time of the year where the daylight hours are maximum. So everybody is happy. Everybody's looking forward to that, right? Summertime. Okay, deep in the summertime. All right, now he continues. But as the Stygian Jupiter in deep winter, that's the 6 o'clock, right? Hiding himself from us. The sun is hiding himself from us, meaning that nobody knows when the sun is going to be seen again. Everybody's wanting to see the sun again, right? Because the days of darkness are maximum. Okay, too many hours of darkness. Okay, so let me take a look at the comments. Jerry says, okay, thumbs up. Gary Tucker, thumbs up. Shalawama, everyone. Be patient with me. I'm using a different platform today. This one is very cumbersome. I don't really like it so far. But anyway, let's continue. Let's continue. All right. So now the next paragraph. And thus, while Thomas is literally the name of the month of June, the Apostle Thomas, literally, astronomically, is June. Again, Thomas, the Apostle Thomas, this is doubting Thomas. And thus, while Thomas is literally the name of the month of June, yet Thomas's day, or the day in which Thomas is to be particularly worshipped, is the 21st of December. So I'm assuming the author is going to tell us why in the next paragraph. But keep the point in mind. Keep the point in mind. Thomas, this is the Apostle Thomas, doubting Thomas. And thus, while Thomas is literally the name of the month of June, yet Thomas's day, or day in which Thomas is to be worshipped, is the 21st of December. This should be clear for everybody. If not, if he doesn't make the point in the next paragraph, I will. On which day the church returns thanks to capital God for the unbelief of his holy apostle Thomas, of which allegorical unbelief, the physical interpretation is so clear and so beautiful that one hardly knows whether more to admire the want of all the people. No, let me repeat that. That one hardly knows whether more to admire the want of all poetry of soul or of all common sense, and the bungling dunces that could dream of anything else than an allegory, having been, oh, what is that word? Intonated, having been intonated by it. In other words, the author is saying, doubting Thomas doubted that the Christ figure died and was resurrected. He needed to put his finger in the wound, and that would be the only time he would believe. This is the doubting Thomas, right? The author is saying that common sense should tell you that this is an allegorical story. We just went over the information about Thomas's name, so on and so forth. Page 86, 87 and 88, everything we just covered, okay? Now, the artist says, not the artist, but the author says that Thomas' name means the month of June, but Thomas is worshipped on December 21st. We already know that December 21st is the day the sun reaches its lowest point in the sky, and the people are doubting if they'll ever see the sun again. Let's continue. The sun is at its lowest point of declination on the 21st of December. And for about 4 days before and 4 days after. Y'all got that? The sun is at its lowest point of declination. That means 6 o'clock, right? 6 o'clock, the sun is at its lowest place on the celestial globe. He continues, on December 21st, and notice, and for about 4 days before, so 4 days before December 21st would be somewhere around December 17th, right? 4 days before, that would be December 17th, and 4 days after, that would be December 25th, 12 o'clock midnight is when the sun has increased its ascension 1 degree, okay? That's what the author is talking about. Let's continue. St. Thomas Day, therefore, the 21st of December, that is the middle day of the winter solstice. Y'all got that? 4 days before December 25th, 4 days after, 4 days before December 21st, 4 days after December 21st. So December 21st is the middle day of the winter solstice. St. Thomas's Day, therefore, which is the 21st of December, that is the middle day of the winter solstice, is fixed on as the shortest day. What does he mean by the shortest day? That day has the least number of daylight hours of all the days in the year. That's what he's talking about. Let's continue. And St. Thomas, therefore, as the genius of that day, is an allegorical despair as to whether his master, the sun, S-U-N, will ever rise again. All right, y'all got that? Y'all got that? So from December 17th through December 25th, everybody's wondering whether the sun will ever rise again, because there's so many days where the nighttime hours are so many more than the daylight hours. That's all he's saying. Now let's continue. But on December 25th, which is Christmas Day, 4 days after St. Thomas's Day, it is evident that the sun actually has risen. Y'all remember, it rose 1 degree, all right? The day is lengthened. Okay, so December 25th at 12 midnight, the sun has ascended or risen 1 degree. Now, the number of daylight hours has increased. Has increased. All right. So let's continue. But on December 25th, which is Christmas Day, 4 days after St. Thomas Day, it is evident that the sun actually has risen. The day is lengthened. That's daylight hours, y'all. The sun, that is the S-U-N, has achieved his 1st degree in the ascending scale. And hence, in one manner of arranging the allegory, that is, the day of the birth of Christ. So the day of the birth of Christ is December 25th, midnight, because the sun has ascended 1 degree and the number of daylight hours has increased. Whereas for the previous, let me repeat that, in other words, from December 17th through December 25th, not midnight, right? The sun seemed like it would never rise again. But all of a sudden, boom, 12 o'clock midnight, the sun has risen already 1 degree. This according to the author, again, the author says, it is evident that the sun actually has risen. The day is lengthened. The sun, S-U-N, has achieved its 1st degree in ascending scale. And hence, in one manner of arranging the allegory, that is, the day of the birth of Christ. In another, it is the day of his second birth or resurrection. So in one allegory, in other words, in one story, in one fairy tale, it's the day the Christ figure was born. In another fairy tale, it's his second birth or his resurrection. And in a third story, a third fairy tale, it is the day of the resurrection of Lazarus. That is, of the year, the friend of Christ, which had been exactly 4 days dead. Y'all got that? Exactly 4 days dead. Very interesting. I wish we had a Christian in here to give us, or a Hebrew Israelite New Testament person to give us their point of view on this. That would really make this presentation so much better. But we work with what we got. You know, I've invited people, but nobody. Well, one Christian Hebrew. Well, I guess I shouldn't call her a Christian Hebrew Israelite. She might get mad. Well, one New Testament person did come in, and you know, we had fun together. But if y'all want to, you are welcome to come in. And you know, this is quite nice. Let's continue. It is on the 25th of December that Gemini, or personifications of the other days and months of the year, say, in exact allegory to Thomas, quote, we have seen the capital Lord. They saw the sun, the days, or the number of daylight hours began to increase. They saw it and received from him that churlish avowal of his unbelief. And here it goes. Don't talk to me about seeing the sun. That's the S-U-N. My fingers are frostbitten still until I can thaw them in his vital heat and put my hand upon some substance that has been made warm by his recovered ray, the absolute print of his hand upon my nature, I will not believe. Now, here is the interesting thing, y'all. If the promised land, which it is not, but if the promised land is over there in Eastern Africa, where is this cold, this freezing cold winter coming from? Y'all see that? Y'all think about that? Where is the winter? In East Africa. Cannot be, right? Cannot be. So where were these gospels written? Where is ancient Egypt? Where is ancient Egypt? These gospels were originally, according to the author, written in ancient Egypt. Ancient Egypt had winter, freezing cold winters. Maybe the winters were in the Americas. Maybe the winters, or maybe Egypt was in North America. Y'all hear that? Maybe Egypt was in North America. Also, do y'all know that in certain parts of South America, it's cold? They have winter. My understanding is that the bottom of South America is cold. They have winter, right? Snowy. I need to take a break, y'all. Give me a second. Anything in the chat? Anything in the comments? If you have anything y'all want to put out, put it in the comments and I'll read it out. I'll post it. I need a second to get my breath. So this is very problematic for anyone who's saying that the Gospels took place over in East Africa where Israel is right now. They don't have winter. They don't have 4 seasons. How could they deal with 4 seasons if all they have is hot and cold? I mean, a hot and rainy season, right? They don't have 4 seasons. So where's all of this astrotheology coming from? It has to be on a landmass, a continent where they have 4 seasons, right? So Egypt cannot be. Egypt cannot be. I'm talking about the original Egypt, the ancient Egypt cannot be in East Africa. Y'all got it? If y'all disagree, put it in the chat. If you agree, put it in the chat. So we have to move as a people to Gary Tucker says correct. Gary Tucker says correct. The Americas are the true old world. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And y'all see, we can uncover this or discover this simply by looking at the text analytically. We don't need to be told by some university scholars, some gatekeepers whose real intent is to give us or tell us what we need to think without us knowing what they're doing, right? But we figure this out just by the text alone. Just by the text alone. Give me a second, y'all. All right, I'm back. Let's continue. If anybody disagrees, put it in the chat. Let's hear a different point of view. If you have one, it'll make for a better presentation and video for those who come after us. All right, let's continue. This absolute increase of the sun's vital heat becomes unequivocally perceptible about 8 days afterward. Thomas therefore receives the satisfaction he had demanded. And from that day, which is the 1st of January, and not before the lengthening of the day, and the perceptible increase of the sun's heat. Having done away with the doubts of Thomas, the new year is reckoned to begin. All right, so Thomas needing to put his hand inside the wound, according to the author, has to do with the feeling of the temperature of his body, right? Which correlates to the physical perception of increased temperature on Earth, right? On Earth, but where on Earth? It had to be in a place where there's snow and ice, where there's 4 seasons, right? All right, let's continue. Next paragraph. But there will still be, to the unskilled in this occult science, there's nothing spooky about occult, y'all. There's nothing spooky about occult. Look it up, or somebody in the chat, could you look up the definition of occult so nobody gets spooked out and think that we're talking about devils and demons? Could y'all please do that? But there will still be, to the unskilled in this occult science, a constant appearance of confusion and jumbling, and a consequent suspicion of a total want of system and method, as if one could make anything of it one pleased, and it were all mere conjecture, as I can put any one apostle in the place of any other apostle, as it seems to serve the turn. And I am constantly confounding, in a second, y'all, let me turn this. And I'm constantly confounding the disciple with his Lord, and the Lord with the disciple, and the one disciple with another, and ascribing one and the same disciple the most opposite and contradictory of characteristics. So it's a mess. It's a confusing mess. The answer is the manipulation table. Let me repeat that. The answer is the multiplication table is just such another jumble and piece of confusion to a fool. Oh, this guy is funny. He's funny. The answer is the multiplication table is just such another jumble and piece of confusion to a fool. But if you will be at the pains to evolve the inductions or repeated additions, which constitute the multiplications, you will learn that the appearance of confusion originated in your own ignorance, and that in reality, there is no jumble or confusion at all in it. So the author is saying that this astrotheology, these gospel stories, all of this seems to be confusing, and an apparent jumble because you don't understand that the stories have a cosmological meaning. This, takes us back to the mytonymy. I forgot what video it made. It's the first 5, 6, 7 videos that we did, where the author says that in order to learn this, you must first, one, be in the brotherhood, the secret society, and they have to tell you. They tell you. And once they tell you, now at that point, you begin to change your perception and understanding of these stories. But it does not happen until they tell you the meaning of each story. Clear, scholars? Clear? He also said that you have to learn how to draw the constellations, which stars to connect to form each constellation, each zodiac. He said, if you don't know how to do that, if you don't learn how to do that, you'll never understand anything. That is the key, according to the author. All right, now let's continue. Next paragraph. Next, oops, we didn't finish that paragraph. Okay, yeah, next paragraph. Only serve the multiplication table as you serve the gospel. By taking it for what it was never meant for and refusing to understand it any otherwise, then as you did the first day it was put in your hands, and you will acquire about as much skill in arithmetic as your clergy have in divinity. So what the author is saying is that if you don't take the time to learn how to use a multiplication table, you'll never understand multiplication. It'll seem like a jumbled mess. And what he's saying is that the clergy are so ignorant that they don't even understand divinity. Divinity in this case would be what? It would be astronomy, cosmology, right? Let's continue. Let's continue. But all of the difficulty and apparent contradictions will vanish if you will but recollect of human idea. Oh, let me repeat that. But all of the difficulty and apparent contradiction will vanish if you would but recollect and apply the universal metonymy, both of human language and of human idea, whereby a thing is held to be sufficiently expressed, when everything which has an immediate connection and relationship with it is expressed. As we say, make the kettle boil, for make the water boil, and shut the door, for shut the door way. So the sign in which the sun, S-U-N, is at any time identified with the sun, S-U-N, and the sun of every year, the sun of every month, and the sun of every day is spoken of in allegorical astronomy as a distinct and particular sun, S-U-N. Now recall, scholars, the author told us that each zodiac sign has its own characteristics and attributes. And as the sun, S-U-N, travels in and out of each zodiac sign, it takes on the characteristics and attributes of the zodiac sign that it is in. Okay, so it changes 12 times a year. This is what the author is referring to. Let us continue. And the sun of every year, of every month, and every day is spoken of in allegorical astronomy as a distinct and particular sun, sun, while yet there never is, nor was, but one and the self-same sun, sun. Thus, die majores, or greater capital GODs of the pagan mythology, were but one and the same capital God. Y'all understand? Thus, the die majores, or greater capital GODs of the pagan mythology, were but one and the same capital God. So it's only one capital God. Okay, and all of these greater capital GODs, one and the same. That is the same sun, sun. So these deities are the sun, the sun. Okay, as distinctively considered in the 12 months of the year, or as three capital GODs, or three persons in one capital God. There is your Christian Trinity. In Christian Trinity are in like manner but one and the self same capital God, that is the productive energy of nature. Correlate this with natural law. Correlate this with natural law. All right. Natural law is not religion. It is the forces, the principles, the energies that govern human relationships and the physical world. All right. Also consciousness, which is awareness. All right. Let's continue. Let's continue. All right. Okay. So the productive energy of nature, as considered in the three elements of fire, water, and air, which are the original and only Father, Son, S-O-N, and Holy Ghost. Fire, water, and air are the Father, the Son, S-O-N, and the Holy Ghost. Y'all got that? Everybody got that? The productive energy of nature. We see energy in the form of fire, water, and air. Theologically, that is, in Christianity, we see it as the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Keep in mind that in the Old Testament, there is no Father. There is no Father, and there is no Son, and there is no Holy Ghost. That is the Gospels, Christian. All right, let's read it again. All right. The productive energies of nature as considered in the three elements of fire, water, and air, which are the original and only Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, quote, which was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end, end quote, Amun, A-M-M-O-N, which was in the beginning, fire, water, air, and is now fire, water, air, and shall ever be fire, water, air, world without end. There will always be fire, water, and air. Therefore, there will always be the energy of nature that is governed by natural law. We see this in the Declaration of Independence as nature's law and nature's God. And we see it other places too. Okay? This is not religion. This is not religion. All right? Not religion. We are dealing with science. Science that has been anthropomorphized, personified, deified, to capture your imagination, to empty your pockets, to put you to work, for somebody other than yourself and your family, and to prevent you from receiving an inheritance from your family, from your mom, your dad, your brothers and sisters, so on and so forth, your man, your woman, however it goes from your bloodline, okay, and to make you a fool, for believing something that you do not see in nature and that is not governed by nature's laws, and to make you a coward so you won't stand up for yourself. This is according to the author. Do with it what you want. I need to take a short break. Give me 1 second, y'all. I'll be right back. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Let me check the comments. All right, I hope y'all are enjoying this. Let me know what are y'all thinking about. Put something in the comment section. Let me know what y'all thinking about what we're going over so I can know where y'all at. Let me know about what you think about the topic that we've been discussing so far. Anybody have any thoughts you want to share or questions? I need to take a break. I need to give my voice a break for a second, y'all. So let me just take a look at the chat. Put something in the comments, and let's fill the time out so I can get a chance to take a break for a minute. All right. Give me 1 second. Be with y'all in a minute. I just need to take a break. All right, here we go. Let's see what time is it, 9:12. All right, here we go. We back in business, y'all. Here we go. Thus, the amen of the gospel and the mystical prayer of the 17th of John prays that, quote, all his disciples may be turned into one, and that he may be in them, and they in him, and he in capital G-O-D, that they all may be one, as thou, Father, that's a capital F, art in me, and I in thee, I in them, and thou in me, end quote. So that instead of leaving the reckoning to stand as only three persons in one capital G-O-D, it must by arithmetic make 14 persons in one capital G-O-D. Y'all got that, right? Y'all got that. All right. That would be the 12 apostles, Christ figure, and the deity. Okay, 14. Quote, that they all may be one, end quote, says Christ. And so I too, for if three persons, the author is saying himself, he agrees. And so say I too, I is the author. For if three persons, each by himself, being capital G-O-D and capital L-O-R-D, may yet make but one capital G-O-D and one capital L-O-R-D, what is to hinder but that 14 or any other number of capital G-O-Ds and capital L-O-R-Ds may be but one. So in other words, the author is saying, hey, well, if you can count any kind of way and arrive at one, right? You can have any number you want, and then all of that's going to add up to one. Well, okay, well, I can agree. I can do the same. Y'all got it? All right. 4, when once a man renounces his reason, for when once a man renounces his reason, as every good Christian is bound to do, sure enough, it's all one to him. Let me repeat that. For when once a man renounces his reason, in other words, a man agrees to be a fool, an idiot. He agrees to not think. He agrees to not think critically. For when once a man agrees to turn off his analytical mind and not ask questions, to not think, but to just accept stories as being real history, as every good Christian is bound to do. Now, remember, you go into Christianity and then you become a good Christian by developing your belief, your faith, right? So there's a process of turning off your analytical mind. For when once a man renounces his reason, as every good Christian is bound to do, sure enough, it's all one to him. In other words, you can have 99 people, and that 99 people, you add it up, and it's going to turn out to be one deity, one capital God. This author is funny, but it shows he has a very profound knowledge of this topic. He has a profound knowledge of the topic. Let me go through some of these comments. Jerice writes, okay, I'm enjoying the presentation, but it's a bit mind-blowing. Well, thanks for being honest, Jerice. Thanks for being honest about that. And it's good that you said that because some other people might be feeling the same way. Jerice continues. Oh, sorry about that. Gary Tucker writes, astrology was often associated with magic. Note the spelling, scholars, magic, M-A-J-I-K, and supernatural. Astronomy was a step down. This was when control mechanisms began to take over the people of the earth. Excellent point, man. Excellent point. Excellent point. And these control mechanisms, in the language that I would use, that I use and that I teach, I call it the black priesthood, the dark priesthood. We went in that in I think maybe the first 5 or 6 videos we cover that, where these natural phenomena were deified or anthropomorphized, and the priest set them up as middlemen. So you'd have to go to the priest in order to be able to reach the deity, and the deity would do something for you, whereas prior to that, you'd have to do it for yourself based upon your knowledge of nature and your ability to create your own reality. Gary Tucker continues to write, not your ability, but your willingness and your use of science to create your own reality. Your use of science and your use of consciousness. Gary Tucker writes, most of the early astronomers were Jesuits. Excellent point. Excellent point. Excellent point. Let me see if y'all want to put anything else in there. Give me a little break. Let me see. I'm gonna wait a minute to see if any more comments come through. All right. So let me get back to the reading. Here we go. Let's go back to the reading. We are on page 191. That last paragraph was funny, y'all. Y'all have to admit that paragraph was funny. Okay. The solution of the enigma That's the tricky story of the gospel, right? However, as an allegory of natural phenomena of the same one eternal and unchanging Sun, S-U-N. Let's repeat that. The solution of the enigma, the tricky story of the gospel. However, as an allegory, so the gospel or the solution of the gospel as an allegory of natural phenomena. In other words, understanding the gospel is understanding that it is a story, a fairy tale that explains natural phenomena of the same one eternal and unchanging Sun through all the changing seasons of the year: winter, spring, summer, fall. It is so clear, so beautiful, so obvious that it is impossible not to see that it has been done only by effort, that it has been only by effort and painstaking, that men have shut themselves out from conviction and barricaded themselves in ignorance. Y'all understand, if anybody who's ever tried to talk to a Christian, it's like, it's almost impossible, right? To talk to them. I know because I used to be one. So I'm not being critical or laughing at anybody. I was this ignorant person who was impossible to talk to at one time. But I'm not anymore. That it is impossible not to see that it has been only by effort and painstaking that men have shut themselves out for conviction and barricaded themselves in ignorance. They did it by choice. They're by choice ignorant. They don't want to hear anything different than their dogma, their theology, their doctrine. By pretending in historical character for what an unsophisticated child would see could never have been intended but as a fiction. I would have to agree with that from my personal experience. In which case, one cannot but apply to them the censure which the gospel itself denounces. Quote, thy love darkness rather than light. In other words, the Christian loves ignorance rather than knowledge and science because their deeds are evil. What's that evil deed? They refuse to study. More evil than that, more wicked than that is that they refuse to ask critical questions. They refuse to think analytically and critically because it's easier to just accept. There's your evil. End quote. That is, they hid themselves from the clear and evident allegorical sense of their scriptures and have pretended a historical one because they have a wicked and, and sensuous purpose of their own to serve. Y'all hear that? They turn off their analytical mind because they got some wicked purpose of their own. They got a wicked motive for doing it. Let's see what he says. Because they have a craft to carry on. Oh, he's talking about the priest. He's talking about the pastors, your rabbi, your Moshe, your Moreh, you Hebrew Israelites, you Christians. Huh? They love darkness rather than light because their deeds are evil. That is, they, your priesthood, your Moshe, you Hebrew Israelites, your pastors and reverends, you Christians. That is, they hide themselves from the clear and evident allegorical sense of their scriptures and have pretended a historical one because they have a wicked and sensuous purpose of their own to serve, because they have a craft, the craft of the priesthood to carry on, because they would usurp a tyrannous and cruel influence over weak minds. Why weak minds? Because these are people who want to believe, just like I wanted to believe. when I was in Christianity, I wanted to believe, right? I wanted to believe. All right. Because they would usurp a tyrannous and cruel influence over weak minds that see not through their craft. In other words, these are unsuspected, innocent people who think that these Moshes, Mores, pastors, reverends, and rabbis are good people. They're unsuspecting, easy targets. These religious leaders, indeed, their deeds are evil. Let's continue. All right. Because they would usurp a tyrannous and cruel influence over weak minds that see not through their craft. Somebody look up craft and put craft in the comments. Let's get a precise meaning of craft. And because honor, wealth, and power are occurable in this way with less talent, extortion, or industry than any other. In other words, the reason why you see so many criminals, convicts, and street people, uneducated people going into ministry is because it's easy to get people to honor you, to look over the crimes you committed, your sociopath, psychopathic mind. Easy to get people to honor you because you're a man of the cloth. You're Hebrew Israelite, general, captain, whatever, right? Easy to get people to honor you and give you 10% of your monthly income. Give you power, or give them power, because they can tell you what to do, advise you on how to do everything from being with your husband or your wife, your man or your woman, to how you raise your children and who you leave your assets to, who is a beneficiary on your insurance policies. The priests are involved in all of this. The Moshes are involved in all of this. All right? They have access to your wife or your husband because you trust them. Yes, it's a shame, right? And it does not require any talent or skill to get into the ministry, right? It requires nothing, okay? Or in other words, the barriers to entry are less to get in the ministry than there are to get into anything else. That's what the author is saying. All right. So let me take a look at the comments. If I offended somebody, I do apologize. All right, y'all. So let's. Gary Tucker says most of the early astronomers were Jesuit. Silly Shalom, Silly 15. I thought the Jesuits started in the late 1800s. Okay. All right. So Silly 15 says the same thing. King Michael says Presenti or Presente. King Michael says, is this similar to alchemy? You have to give something to get something. King Michael again says, let me go back up. King Michael says, are the so-called black people that are supposed to be Jews considered to be the orangutan, or are the fake Jews considered to be the orangutan? It's the fake. It's the fake. It's the fake. Let's see. Gary Tucker says, the Jesuits maintain the position of integrating Capricorn astronomy with contemporary understanding of the universe. For instance, the Jesuits, let me scroll down. For instance, the Jesuits offered Galileo a role in developing a new model of the universe, which they based on astronomica. Okay, thank you, Gary. I don't know anything about these topics, so I can't say anything about it. But excellent, excellent work. Let's see. Gary, can you put some explanation in there? Because I don't know anything about it. So if I don't know, I'm assuming other people might not know also. Or put a link or something if you can, to help those of us who want to know more about what you're talking about. And for King Michael, go back and watch the video. Watch the whole video that we did on the orangutan. Watch that whole video, and then watch Genesis chapter 1. Watch the Moors are the gods and the law on earth. And watch the video Busted. You must watch the video Busted. Oh, Gary Tucker says, all right. Gary Tucker says that was a response to an earlier comment. All right, y'all. So let me see, where are we? Let's see, where are we? All right, so let's continue. We are here. Next paragraph, the highlight. The belief which the gospel requires was never the belief which implied a taking it to be true, but that only which implies what in vulgar but very expressive phase is called the being up to it. That is, indeed, the not taking it to be true, but taking it as it was intended and as it is indeed a fiction, a fairy tale, a romance, an allegorical veil thrown over natural history. Natural history would be the movement of the sun through the night or through the sky, right? Through the celestial globe. So this is what I was talking about earlier when I said that the author says that unless you're in a secret society and they pull you over and they tell you, hey, wait a minute, these gospel stories, they never happened in history. They're fairy tales that teach the sun going through the celestial sky. The author said that if someone, you go into the secret society, they'll tell you that. That's when you change your perception from the gospels being real history, and you begin and you see because they told you, not because you figured it out, but because they told you, right? According to the author, that they're made up stories. All right. So he's saying that that's the benefit of being in the brotherhood. That is the benefit of being in the brotherhood. It allows you to change your perception of these stories. Now think about this. This is how important this is. For the Christian who believes that the Christ figure is going to save them, come crack the sky, destroy evil people, and give them the life that they always wanted in the kingdom. That person is waiting for an external deity to do something for themselves. And that will never happen. But once the priesthood tells you that this is an allegorical story, now what? Now you begin to realize that it's you who has to save yourself. You must take action. You must develop yourself. And guess what? Psalms 82:6, Yasharala, you are God's. You're born with all faculties and capacities to do, be, have anything you want on this earth, in this lifetime, All you need to do is follow natural law. What is natural law? Natural law is following the Most High's instructions, period. The Most High's commandments at their essence is natural law. You don't have to do any type of rituals and crazy stuff that you've been accustomed to doing in religion. It has nothing to do with Moorish culture or heritage. When I say Moorish, I'm talking about Genesis chapter 2, not a religion, not a club. Genesis chapter 2, Genesis chapter 10, the 16 nations, Jubilees chapter 8, verse 8, the land allotments. Go look up law, Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition. You're going to see that it correlates with Genesis chapter 2, right? It correlates with Genesis chapter 2. We are talking about the rightful heirs, the rightful owners of all land and things of value on earth. Sovereignty, government, the right to govern your own mental, the divine principles in the U.S. Constitution, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Make the correlation, Moors, Yasharala Moors. All right, make the correlations. Please like and share the video. If you haven't liked the video, please like it. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe now. And share the video, please, please share the video. Y'all give me some reward for all of this work I'm doing. All right, I ain't asking you for fiat. At minimum, subscribe, like, and share the video. But if you want to buy one of our books, go ahead and do so. ZionLawSchool.org. Everybody come next Saturday, 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. That's our live online class, all right? You can come, you don't have to pay. 10 o'clock, Saturdays, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to support us, Zion Law School, if you want to support me, I'm Dr. Yasapa in my work, go to zionlawschool.org. Subscribe to 101 Ancient Ibriath course. That's a streaming course. Okay. What else can you do? Oh, buy our books, right? You can do that to support us. So you can just make a one-time donation or a recurring donation. Our PayPal is there. All right. So y'all can do that. That'll help a great deal. But let me tell y'all something. I haven't told anybody this yet, but let me say it now. I want to translate the Mosaic Covenant into Ibriath, or even the whole, let's say the first 5 books. But it's going to take, of course, fiat money to do that. So I'm thinking about putting maybe a GoFundMe or something up so that I can translate. So we can have our own in English and in Ibriath, right? Have what it really means. That would be a wonderful thing. So if there's any interest, if anybody wants to have that and you want to support that, let me know. But it's something that I really, really want to do. But it's something that I can't do by myself. You know, I'm going to need people to help me do that. And I will have to pay them to help me. And plus, I don't want to be living on soy sauce and rice because I ain't got no money while I'm doing this translation. But anyway, that's something that I really want to do and provide for everybody. Let's get back to the page. We are now on page 191 at the bottom. Let me show it. We're going to finish this chapter off, y'all. So let me go back up. Did we finish? Okay. All right. So here we are. So let's go. Page 191, the highlight. And as one series of natural phenomena might be more in the mind of the allegorist than another, or a more or less ingenious way of allegorizing the same facts would occur to the more or less ingenious allegories. You have that grave neglect of method, that heedlessness of consistency with itself, or with any other allegory of the same phenomena, which characterizes St. John's allegory as distinguished from the allegories of Matthew, Mark, and Luke. In other words, the Gospel of John is different from Matthew, Mark, and Luke. So the character of Thomas, a pure invention of the fourth allegorist, like the allegorical miracle of turning water into wine and the resurrection of Lazarus, never occurred to the minds of Matthew, Mark, and Luke. So those stories were not in those Gospels according to the author. As the allegorical miracle of the devils drowning the pigs, or the pigs drowning the devils, which cuts such a pretty figure in Matthew, Mark, and Luke, is wholly omitted in the Gospel of John. To say nothing of the total contrariety, that's the contradiction, and different ways of telling the fable of the resurrection of Christ in John's Gospel and the three other Gospels. A contrariety, that's a contradiction, right? And difference which Christian critics themselves are constrained to admit cannot be reconciled on any supposition of an historical basis of the story, but allowable enough under the license of allegory and fiction, from which a perfect consistency is never expected. Now, here is where we see the Hebrew Israelites and other Christians create. What do they create? They create doctrines. What are these doctrines? These doctrines explain away, the problems or inconsistencies between these books. What do they say? They say, well, each writer, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, wrote their work from their own perspective. But is Matthew really the writer of the Gospel of Matthew? Is Mark really the author of the Gospel of Mark, Luke, and John? Right? They are not. They are not. Clearly, they are not. These are just the names of the books. Right? But anyway, each of these Christians, the Hebrew Israelite Christians, and I don't say that to embarrass them, but they're Christians because they follow Christ. That makes them a Christian, right? The Hebrew Israelites are Christians if they follow the New Testament. They're Christians. So this is opportunities, scholars, for them to create doctrine. In other words, a different explanation using what they call precepts, precept upon precept, precepted out. How do you explain this apparent contradiction, right? Precepted out, like making a collage of Bible verses, okay, to explain things away. All right, or to try to make sense of it. It being enough that the story hangs together any way in which it may hang together, and that, all right, so it hangs together any way that it may hang together. Today they would call it doctrine or precepting, right? And that the reader be sufficiently aware of the moral or latent astronomical significance which the story is constructed to convey. Quote, errors like straws upon the surface flow. Errors like straws, as straws on the surface of water, flow. He who would seek for pearls must dive below. In other words, if you want to know the real meaning of these gospels, you have to learn linguistics. You must learn linguistics, etymology, philology. Get started by subscribing to 101 Ancient Ibriath. $1 for 24-hour trial, $10 to subscribe. It's basically free. I'm telling y'all that course is phenomenal. Its market value is $10,000. Don't brush it off because it's only $10. It's only $10 so that everybody can afford it. I wanted to make it affordable. Okay. It's 113 video lessons. Also come Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do a breakdown or an examination and evaluation of every word in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15 through 29. We look at the etymology, part of speech. We use all the Bible verses, translations, right? And we look at the morphology, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, so on and so forth. Can y'all put some more likes on? And that said, y'all, I'm going to end this video. I want to go and eat and get me something to drink because I'm tired. So we're going to start tomorrow, St. James and St. John. All right, the sons of thunder. St. James and St. John tomorrow. That's going to be episode number 34. That speech was given, or that sermon was given March 20th, 1831. March 20th, 1831 is coming from Mark chapter 9, verse 2 and 3, which reads, "And after 6 days, JC taketh with him Peter and James and John, and leadeth them up into the high mountain, apart by themselves. And he was transfigured before them." So we're dealing with the transfiguration tomorrow. "And his raiment became shining, exceeding white as snow." How do they know what snow is in East Africa? Now, he said he took them up on an exceedingly high mountain. Maybe that explains it. "So as no fuller on earth can white them." He took them up on a high mountain. You know what? I would like to know if high mountains, how high the mountains are. Let me check this, y'all. Well, no, we'll do it tomorrow. We'll look into it tomorrow. Okay. Tomorrow we're going to check to see how high the mountains are in Israel and if any of them have snow. I don't know. Okay, but we will see. We will see. Let's see. Let's go through some of these comments. Y'all let me know if y'all would be interested in having an Ibriath copy of the Torah with the English meanings. Okay, real, not fake stuff, real stuff. Let me look at the comments now. Michael Ross. King Michael says, none of those people are alive or knew Jesus. They basically were like journalists, right? Or they're ghostwriters, right? King Michael says, none of the 4 men in the gospel were alive during Jesus' time. They all were basically journalists, good point, and wrote down stories from hearsay 50 plus years after his death. Excellent point. Very good, very good. Michael continues to say, okay, we already got that. Let me go down to the next one. Gary Tucker says, the mountains on Utah are way taller. Okay, so maybe those mountains, based on what Gary Tucker is saying, maybe those mountains don't have snow. I don't know, but we're going to find out tomorrow. You know, I'm tempted to look to see now. Let me see. Do mountains in Israel have snow. Let's see what I get. I'll read to y'all what I get. Does it snow in Jerusalem? Snow began falling in Jerusalem and the northern mountains on. Oh, okay. Wait, oh, here we go, y'all. I'm going to show it. I'm going to show it. If I can figure out how to use this doggone app. Give me 1 second, y'all. Let me see if I can show this. And this is cumbersome. All right. So here we are. So I'm on DuckDuckGo, y'all. So here we are. This is World Atlas. Does it snow in Jerusalem? Snow began falling in Jerusalem and the northern mountains on January 25th, 1950, but it melted quickly. Hafia received about 5.9 inches of snow. On January 28, 1950, heavy snow started falling in Jerusalem on February 6, 1950. Let's see, traveling Jewish. Let's see what they have here. This is for tomorrow. This is going to be video number 34 tomorrow, y'all. Does it snow in Israel? The short answer is yes, but the long answer is a little more complex. Okay, so here we go. Here we go with the BS. Okay, Israel is in the Middle East. As we know, there's no such thing as the Middle East. Israel is in the Middle East, which generally has a very hot climate. Y'all see that? Not hot, very hot. A very hot climate. Hold on. Go away. A very hot climate most times of the year. I generally compare the weather of Israel to that of California. Note, y'all, Israel is just as hot as California, according to this travelingjewish.com. However, despite being a tiny country that could easily fit within Lake Michigan, it has a wide variety of landscapes and an array of microclimates. So, while yes, it does snow in Israel, it only snows in specific places. It also depends on what you consider snow. Y'all hear that? It also depends on what you consider snow. When I was around the age 10, it snowed about ½ an inch, and it was really more like slush. Okay, now let's correlate this back to the article, back to the Devil's Pulpit. It said that the Christ figure, let me read it for y'all. Let me read this for y'all. Give me a second, I'm gonna read it. Let me get my book. It says here, and his raiment became shining, exceedingly white as snow. So is slush white like snow? No, slush is not white like snow, is it? Slush is not white like snow. Slush is more of a grayish color. So in other words, the Christ figure would have had on dingy whites. His whites would have been dingy. Let me read it again. And his this is Mark chapter 9, verse 2 and 3. And his raiment became shining, exceeding white as snow. Y'all got that? So as no fuller on earth can white them. In other words, it's the whitest of white that could possibly be on earth. Slush is a grayish color. Well, let's continue. All right. When I was around age 10, it snowed about ½ an inch, and it was really more like slush. Tis was nothing compared to what I experienced the next year after moving to New York. Y'all see that? 4 years after I moved back to Israel, I was in Jerusalem when it snowed, and it was just large flurries. Okay, so that's not going to make anything white. Thus was the first time I saw snow moving back. And so I was so excited that I hung outside my apartment, Despite Jerusalem being in the mountains, a real snow is so infrequent that when there was 10 inches of snow due to a snowstorm in 2015, the whole city shut down. All right, so it does not, for all practical purposes, it does not snow in Israel. It's a weird thing if it snows, right? That's what it seems like they're saying. I think it was that same year that they bought mounds of snow to Tel Aviv from Jerusalem, where it never snows. All right, so anyway, there we have it. Y'all can go into this further. I'm curious about something more scientific. I would really like to know what the highest mountain is. Mount Hermon. Okay, so okay, Jerusalem experiences a hot summer, Mediterranean climate that is characterized by wet, by mild, that means warm, wet, that means rain, winters. So in the winter, it's warm and it's wet. How is that winter? And dry, hot summers. Y'all notice this? There's only 2 seasons. Mild and wet, that's rainy season. That's not winter. And dry, hot summers. So Israel has 2 seasons. Rainy season, where the temperature is warm and it's raining, humid. And summer, where the temperature is hot and it's dry. Israel has 2 seasons. Even though Jerusalem experiences a heavy snowfall after every 3 or 4 years, it does get snow flurries at least twice every winter. Cities like Safed receive precipitation is in the form of snow during winter. Safed recorded 23.6 inches of snow during the winter of 1950. Wow, that's 70 years ago. That's nothing. Heavy snowfalls annually in the northernmost extremes of the Golan Heights. Is the Golan Heights Israel yet? Leaving the peak of Mount Hermon covered with snow from December to March. Okay, so it looks like Mount Hermon is snow-capped, but that's still is not white, is it? I mean, that's not like bright white, the whitest you ever saw on Earth. But y'all decide. Do y'all believe this? Do y'all believe it? All right. Do y'all believe it? Okay. So Mount Hermon, its highest is the highest mountain in Israel with considerable religious and cultural significance. The mountain is 7,336 feet. The summit of the mountain traverses the borders of both Syria and Lebanon. Da 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 da. I don't see anything about any. It says its height enables it to capture a lot of precipitation in this usually dry region. Okay. The mountain descends from the southern side of da 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 da. Magnitude, height, the magnificent height of mountains favors the growth and blooming vegetation starting from August of every year instead of spring. Okay, I don't see anything about any snow in here. The mountain's also attractive waterfall where Mount Hermon meets the Golan Heights. It is one of the most hiked routes and remains a significant sort of attraction. There's nothing about snow, y'all. Let me do one more search and then we're going to call it quits. I'm curious. Sorry, y'all, my curiosity is getting the best of me. Okay, Mount Moron. It snows occasionally on the peaks of the mountain. The climate around the mountain is Mediterranean. So Mount Moron, according to this article, this is World Atlas, is the only mountain that has snow, and it's occasional snow. All right. So let's see, where are we? Well, I want to say thanks, y'all. Hold on, let me go to the comments. Gary Tucker, thank you, brother. Appreciate this that you put in the chat. It says here, Gary says, let's show this. Gary says, The mountains on Utah are way taller. Mount Hermon, Israel, is just over 7,000 feet. Mount Nebo, Utah mountain is 12,000 feet. All right. King Michael says, I remember growing up being taught Africa was the hottest place on earth. Now I learned that California has the hottest place on earth. So what does that mean? Right, right. They lied about a whole lot, man, didn't they? All right, y'all. I want to say thank you for sharing your evening with me. I had a great time. This is fun for me, and I'm glad I got to spend the evening with y'all. Your comments make it more enjoyable for me, and it's fun, you know. Sitting here doing this by myself is one thing, but being able to go through your comments and read them and laugh about some, right? Learn something. I appreciate it. I really, really appreciate it. So anyway, I see y'all tomorrow. All right. The schedule tomorrow, all times are Eastern Standard Time. The schedule tomorrow, let's see, Sunday is 2 p.m. 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So Sunday, 2 p.m., Monday, 9 p.m., Tuesday, 10 p.m., Wednesday, 10 p.m., Thursday, 10 p.m., Friday, 9 p.m., Saturday, 8 p.m. So tomorrow again is Sunday. So Sunday is 2 p.m., Monday, 9 p.m., Tuesday, 10 p.m., Wednesday, 10 p.m., Thursday, 10 p.m., Friday, 10 p.m., Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. King Michael says peace and love. Thanks, y'all. I see y'all tomorrow. See y'all tomorrow. We kept it under 2 hours, which was good. All right. Shalom. See y'all tomorrow.